Hello, and welcome to a short review of the Mantua Classics Classic 6 train set. The coupling problem will be explained later, that this is unfortunately the best take of that.
So, I've been on a bit of an American thing recently for trains. I've just been really into American stuff for the past month or two. And it started when I got back to looking into pictures of John Allen's Gory and Defeated Railroad, which was a freelance HO scale model railroad. And it is, in my opinion, the best model railroad ever built. You can look at the gdlines.org website to look at all the pictures of his layout. And he built the first of three versions of it in the late 1940s. The third version, which is the one you see now, was built from 1956, basically up until he died in 1973. And unfortunately, it was destroyed shortly after he died in a house fire. But nevertheless, it is one of the best model railroads ever built, and I recommend going and sitting and just looking at some pictures of it.
So the train set comes in this rather enormous box. You can see there. I'm guessing this is probably from the early to mid 2000s, just by looking at the artwork. And this, you can see in the box, it actually does come with some figures, which I rather like. There are the figures in the bag, and while I haven't used them yet, they are quite nice quality. So when I get around to putting people on my layout, I'm going to use these guys, even if they are even if the train crew is wearing American uniforms. The locomotive you get in the set is this rather beefy little 060 switcher. I don't know if it's maybe something that Porter would have built or something else. I don't know that much about these little switches, because when I think of American engines, I usually think of the bigger articulateds and sort of the Mikados and stuff. But it looks rather nice. It's got a fair bit of painted detail on it. And it looks rather good considering what I paid for this set. The wires for the lights are very much exposed on the smoke box, which is rather a shame. But the engine does, of course, actually have directional lighting. There's the front light, and here's the one on the back. Though rather bizarrely, the front headlamp actually still lights up even when the one at the back is illuminated, but not vice versa. The loco has a little metal bell, and you can actually sort of move it, which I think is kind of cool. Something I find that's a bit odd on this locomotive is the pickups make contact on sort of the rim of the wheel rather than the flange, which I've never seen on any other engines. I'm not sure if this is on all Mantua engines or just this one. This is the trouble I have with this engine. Its rear coupler sits a bit high, which means you have to handle it very carefully when it's pulling a train, otherwise it'll all come apart as seen in the intro. I don't know why, because all of the rolling stock seems to have its couplers at the right height, and the front coupler is also at the correct height. I don't know if this is just a problem on mine, or whether all of these engines are like this. This is a stock car. Wait, hang on a minute. Sorry, no. This is a stock car. Is in a freight car for carrying livestock. You can see it's vented on the sides for, well, I guess breathing. It'd be a bit of a shame if the animals died before they made it to market, where they would die anyway. Man, I got sidetracked there really badly. Just as a size comparison to show the differences between 00 and HO scale, there's a fairly standard Hornby van versus the HO scale stock car, and it is tiny. I really couldn't believe how small this thing was. This is a reefer car, just judging by the refrigerator markings on the side. It's got really nice paint. I love this car. I just think this one looks really nice. All the cars on this set have separately fitted brake wheels. Both the stock car and the reefer car actually have opening sort of doors on the side, which I really like that detail. You could probably make a little diorama out of that. Unfortunately, the metal weight is loose in this car. You can kind of see it in there. That sucks. I believe this is some kind of old tanker car, just judging by the barrel things on the top. I imagine this tooling can also be used for a gondola with the barrels removed. Another thing I like is that it's in Union Pacific markings, and, well, everybody loves the Union Pacific. So here's a Santa Fe drover's caboose, so it can carry passengers as well, I believe. For whatever reason, it's got weird green plastic windows, but I rather like this piece of rolling stock, weird windows aside. I just love the look of it, and if I haven't already established enough, since I love the Gory and Defeated, someday I hope to re-letter it to look like one of the cabooses on the Gory and Defeated Railroad. So I picked my train set up about a year and a half ago from a local antique store for £50. That's about $60, maybe a little more. And I think that's a reasonably good value. I'm not really sure how much this train set would cost new. I don't even know if Mantua still exists, but I think, just considering how I've seen how expensive some American train sets are, I think £50 is fairly okay for one of these. I've seen bits and pieces of American train sets, sort of under $100 on Amazon, but I don't have any of those, so I can't speak for their quality. But other than that miserable, stupid coupler, I think this is a reasonably good set. Now time for some running. It didn't even make it into frame before it lost its cars. Oh, for God's sake. One of the boxcars just derailed. Oh, this is a complete catastrophe. You know, I hope whoever's fault this coupler was got sacked.